Hello and welcome to this next presentation here at ABG Investor Days. My name is Simon Granat and I will be moderating this presentation, and I work as an equity analyst at ABG covering tech and IT companies. With us today we have Per Holmberg, who is our recurring guest, and he is the CEO of JLT Mobile Computers. He will present the company for about 20 minutes and then we will follow up with a smaller Q&A session. With that said, Per, please go ahead and present the company.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon. And in my presentation, if we go to the next slide, I'm going to cover some key messages. You can click actually the 3 bullets there, Simon. So for you that I haven't spoken to before, I will give a quick introduction of JLT and what we do to empower customers' businesses by enabling hassle-free IT in very challenging environments. I will also reflect on the challenging 2020, but by being proactive, we kind of find a new normal, I call it, and we ended the year fairly strongly. And now we are looking into 2021 and beyond and see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel and are accelerating. So I have some new products to talk about and a software initiative that we will talk about as well. So we can go to the next slide, please. So JLT has been around now for about 25 years, a little bit more, and we have been in the high-tech industry all along. So we are a tech company. We are developing and manufacturing and installing rugged computers. And what is rugged computers? Well, it is regular PC products usually today with or without the keyboard, and some of them have a touchscreen. But the key value with these products is that they are very rugged. They can be used in very tough environments, and they are very reliable. So the customers we target with these products are customers that really depend on their IT infrastructure and that always have to be working in order for them to meet their productivity goals. We have an in-house development team that is located in Växjö, which is the headquarters for JLT. And we have manufacturing of our products only about an hour drive away from Växjö in Ronneby. Currently we are on the 6th generation of products. We have shipped since start over 100,000 units. I think we're up to 110,000 units now. So we are, as far as I can see, the largest PC manufacturer in Sweden throughout the years here. We really pride ourselves by being experts in what we do. We're very focused. We are a little niche. We are really focusing on the hardware today. And we're using this expertise to adapt our solutions to meet customers' needs. And because we have full control over both development, manufacturing, distribution, and also the aftermarket or service and repairs, we can combine all of these hard and soft values into a solution that is really suitable for the customer that we address. So we go to the next slide, please. So our mission is fairly simple. We like to empower our customers' businesses, and we do that by providing IT equipment that is used in very tough environments. So really the core value that we provide is hassle-free IT. When customers buy and install our products, it will run and run and run. That's the goal. And it's really driven. There is a lot of investments and digitalization happening in most industries today. And it's driven by big demands such as online shopping that puts completely different requirements on supply chains and distribution and storage of products and goods. There are environmental requirements that requires shipment and handling of products to be done in a much more efficient way and with less impact on the environment. And then, of course, the ongoing globalization where trade is happening all around the globe, basically. So where do we find some of these challenging environments? Well, the biggest market for JLT is really warehousing and transportation. So in warehouses, our products are usually mounted on a forklift or on a crane or something inside a warehouse. But we're also targeting other segments as well, such as ports, where the requirements are a little bit similar, but in here, our products are sitting in vehicles that moves around outdoors. So it puts different requirements in terms of wireless accessibility. Perhaps they're running 4G instead of Wi-Fi and so on. Other areas are mines, which you can imagine is a very tough environment, agriculture, and transportation, and more. So it's a pretty wide spectrum of markets, but these are the biggest. And I would say that the warehousing market for JLT is about 60% of the revenue, and ports and mining are about 20% each. Okay, we can move to the next slide, please. So JLT is headquartered in Växjö, as I said. We have a small satellite office here in Stockholm where I reside together with a couple of sales managers. We have the production with a partner in Ronneby, so only an hour drive away. And from there, we distribute the products across the world, mainly with focus on Europe and US. And to manage the business in the US, we have a wholly owned US subsidiary that resides outside Chandler, outside Phoenix in Arizona. And we have a production partner in Atlanta that is doing the final configuration and customization of the products for the US market. And then we reach our customers mainly through a network of resellers around the world. And again, the focus is really Europe and the US. And as you can see on the pie chart there, about half of the revenue last year came from the US market, and the other half came from the European market, including Nordics there. But we are selling the products outside these big regions as well, and mainly within the segments of either ports or mines, where, for example, ports are usually owned and managed and operated by large company groups that may have ports around the world. So it starts with us getting into a port in Europe or the US perhaps, and that will then bring us into Middle East, Africa, South America, and Australia, and so on. Moving on to the next slide, please. So what is it that makes JLT unique? Well, I would say three things today that we define as our core strength within the company. One is we do have leading products. If you ask customers, JLT is well known for high quality, high performance, and very high reliability. And if we are in a customer where that is doing a pure product evaluation, usually we win in those comparisons. But it's also our expertise and our knowledge, because we had owned our own development and manufacturing of the products since start, basically. We have the in-house resources that are needed to build up the expertise, and our key customers have access to this expertise. So it's not uncommon that a large customer and our engineering team, for example, talks and we develop products and solutions together with the customer. With that also comes what we call a high-touch customer-facing model. So that means that very early in the selling phase, we spend a lot of time with the customers to understand their business operations, their challenges, and their environment in which the computer needs to work. So we can look at the Wi-Fi infrastructure, we can talk about mechanical stress and other things that could impact the computer. And of course, in a time like this, with the pandemic and with the restrictions in travels and physical meetings, that has presented a little challenge for us, because Now it's harder for us to go out to a customer and do that analysis before they actually choose JLT's products. So we go to the next slide, please. So we have a growth strategy. JLT has been growing for the last 7 or so years, with the exception now in 2020. We'll talk a little bit more about 2020. And we've been growing profitably along the way as well. And the growth strategy that we keep executing on consists of 3 legs, I would say. So it is continuous product development, which is where we started, 1994, with a hardware product. And that continues. And as I said, we are in the 6th generation of products, and we are very focused on developing our own products, of course, which is the basis of what we offer to customers. But we're also complementing that with source products like accessories or handheld products and scanners and so on, to be able to provide a more complete solution for the customer. The second path there is where we really increased the emphasis on this in 2010, and that is to strengthen and expand the sales channel. And I feel today, with the products we have and the offering we have, that is where we need to focus on marketing and sales to get out there in front of customers and really represent JLT and the solution that we stand for. And then the third leg on the strategy here is services and a bigger services content. And over the time, we started with great products. Today we have great products, but we also have great customer relationships and great customers, long-term customers. And we see big opportunities to work with both existing and new customers to increase the service level and the service content in the offering that we talk about, that we provide to customers. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next as well. So we can go to the next slide, please. So looking back at 2020, and as for everyone, this has been a very challenging year. And but I have to say, though, that we really pulled through. And all things considered, I'm actually very proud and happy with the way the year turned out in the end. We feared much worse than what it turned out to be in the end. So if you go to the next bullet there, please. So the pandemic, of course, impacted us all, both professionally and personally. We have had throughout the year tough restrictions on travels and restrictions on meetings. So we had quickly to adapt to new ways of running both the existing business and the existing customer relationships and the internal communication as well. And we needed to find new ways of finding new customers and to prospect on the market. So if we go to the next slide, please. So the pandemic really hit at the beginning of the year, around February, March, and at the end of Q1, we took a number of measures early to be proactive and to ensure stability throughout the crisis. The focus has always been to keep the staff safe and healthy, of course. So we enabled people to work from home. The tasks that most people within the JLT organization lend themselves pretty well for doing at home, with a few exceptions. So we made sure that we had, or everyone had good home offices set up with not only computers and such, but also with good cameras and sound and similar things to keep the business running. We also implemented a number of cost savings initiatives, and we have been able to manage the cost quite effectively throughout the year to keep that down to minimum. And the third area there was supply capacity, because of course the pandemic not only made it difficult for us, but it made it difficult for our suppliers and our partners as well. And we went through times where we had shortages on components, we had issues getting components shipped and such, but we actually fared pretty well throughout the crisis, and we haven't had any significant issues with supplying products and meeting customers' demand and expectations. So of course, as many others in the business, we established new ways to keep the operation going, and Teams meetings and video meetings has been kind of the standard procedure nowadays. At JLT, everyone is set up to run a good video meeting, but not only that, all our partners, our suppliers, and our customers that before was very rarely actually set up to have a good video meeting. They are now established with that technology as well. So we really fast forward the whole development on using those type of technologies and digitalization that was needed to run the business. Even though we had a number of cost savings and we had to reprioritize projects and initiatives that was going on, we really stayed focused on the most critical projects. And I'm going to talk about one of them in my next couple of slides here. Because the goal has always been to be ready to accelerate when we see signs of the crisis turning to the better again. So go to the next bullet there, please. And I'm very proud to say that the entire organization really pulled through, and it has been a great teamwork, both internally and with the extended team, with partners and such. So people have stayed focused, people have stayed productive, even though it has been very challenging sometimes. Go on to the next bullet, please. And I think we can also be fortunate that our end markets, like distribution, warehousing, production, manufacturing, ports, have done relatively well through the crisis so far. So the financial challenges that has happened in many other segments have not been that bad in our end market segments. The bigger challenge for JLT has been to conduct the business and to prospect and to meet new customers. That has been the big challenge. But financially, our end markets and our end customers are going through the crisis pretty well, actually, so far. And then the last bullet on this slide. So positive year-end result. As I said, we were pretty worried. I was pretty worried when we went into Q2. We wanted to put these proactive measures in place. I'm glad we did. And we created the stability that we were looking for. We had the most critical projects going throughout the year, and we ended the year with a positive result. So I'm very proud of that. Go on to the next slide, please. So in numbers, you can forward both bullets here, please. And the next one too. There we go. So the numbers, you see them there on the slide. You probably read the year-end report as well. So if you look at order intake as a start, order intake was down 11% from the previous year. However, order intake really recovered pretty well in Q4 of last year. And in fact, the order intake in Q4 was stronger than Q4 in 2019, which was a record year. If we look at the revenue, went down 22% compared to previous year. I think we also need to keep in mind that previous year, 2019, was a record year for JLT. So it was an all-time high in sales, basically, or revenues. So heavily characterized by the corona pandemic, as we said, we were able to manage the overhead cost, and it is reduced. Well, one obvious thing is less travel. So there has been very little travel for the company over the year. But we also reprioritized and cut out some cost in the marketing budget. We've been very, very focused on the digital marketing, but there has not been any trade shows or any other marketing events like that. We also decided to reduce the work time. We had not used any of the state-sponsored programs, but we were able, by working with the staff, to reduce time anyway. And one thing to do that was to use save vacation time and such to keep the cost down. And we also had to do some reduction in staff, and that was mainly done in the sales organization, where we had geared up in the fourth quarter of 2019. And moving in then to Q1 and Q2, we decided to wait with that increase in sales staff, basically. So we had to let a few people off, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year there. As I mentioned, we were able to keep the strategic projects going, and in the end, we ended the year with an operating profit of 2.1 million Swedish krona. And I also glad to see that one key part of the strategy here is to increase the service content, and that continued on a positive trend. Thank you. So moving on to the next slide, please. So I do think I see the light at the end of the tunnel now. I think through 2021 we will eventually get through with the pandemic. Hopefully the vaccination program is going as planned, and when we come to the summer, I'm hoping that some of the travel restrictions are going to ease up and we can start conducting the business a little bit more aggressive again. So we've decided to execute on a few things that has been put on hold for 2020, and I'll talk a little bit here about the new product that we're rolling out, which were one of the key projects that we kept working on during 2020, and a new initiative that is related to increasing software development and services. So we move on to the next slide, please. Only a couple of weeks ago, we announced the fact that we are opening a pilot program for a new product from JLT, which is based on Android 10. And this is a continuation or further development of the latest generation products from JLT called 6012. We call this version 6012A. It's all new electronics inside, but the form factor and the mechanics is pretty much the same. And why is Android so important? Well, we've seen a significant uptick in interest from our customers on Android as a complement to Windows 10, that is the most common operating system for us today. And if we look at the overall market for Android, about 85% of all consumer products are today Android. And of course, we are not using consumer products in our segments, but our operators are. So the people using our computers are used to the Android operating system, and that is one factor that is driving the interest for Android, even in industrial applications like we are selling into. So Android is definitely emerging as a strong alternative to Windows in our target markets. And with the 6012A product, we feel that we are in a great position to support that growing need. So 6012 was one of the key projects that we continued to develop during the year 2020 without any reductions in, really. So now we are at a point where we're rolling out this to the first couple of customers. We already delivered the first units, and we are now starting real-world testing, so to say, together with those customers. And we're planning a full product rollout with production in volume this summer. Moving on to the next slide, please. So this product is significant in from another angle as well. And this 6012A, together with the existing Windows sibling 6012, really forms a platform for future solutions. And I talked about this a little bit when we launched the 6012 a couple of years ago, because with this hardware, we have integrated a number of sensors and analytic technology that will allow us to leverage the fact that our computer sitting on a forklift, for example, in a warehouse is used every day, and it's traveling around in the warehouse, and through the computer, you can use this sensor technology to collect data. It could be anything from the vibrations that is happening on the computer, but also on the forklift. It could be temperature changes, it could be humidity, it could be acceleration, speed, positioning, and such. So with all that information, we have a vision where we can collect that and we can analyze that data And by taking decisions on that data, we can help customers to further increase productivity and profitability. So this could be things like predictable and preventable service, where we can predict and perform service even before the computer breaks down. Perhaps even before a forklift breaks down, if we can start measuring the conditions of the forklift. This will maximize the uptime that every customer is so interested in, and it will eliminate interruptions and so on. But it doesn't stop there. It could be preventing accidents. It could be measuring optimal routes in the warehouse, for example, and many other things. But if you click on one more bullet there, please. The key in order to enable this value and these services to customers is to have a software infrastructure around the hardware products. And therefore, we are now starting this venture of building up a software development organization and business. So we go to the next slide, please. So we have started a fully owned subsidiary within the JLT group that we call JLT Software Solutions. And it's dedicated to develop software products. And the reason that we are putting that into a separate company within the group is that I see the vision here is to develop not only software products, but a software business as well, and a services business. So that's why we want to keep it a little bit separate from the development team that we have today, although of course they have to work very, very closely together. So I think if you look at this as an investor, I often get the question, because over the years we've been profitable and we've been growing the business, and we have a pretty strong cash right now balance in the company. And this is one way then to use the cash that we have available and invest in something that is a little bit longer term and that would really enhance the offering and the value that we provide to the customers. So JLT is traditionally a very hardware-focused company. That's where our expertise lies today. So in order to make this fly, we needed to recruit the right talent into the company. And the first person that I'm happy to announce then is a person that lives in Växjö, very close to the headquarters actually of JLT, and that is Andreas Nivard, and he has already started March 1st, and he will be the general manager for this new subsidiary with JLT. So Andreas comes with 25 years of experience from software business and product development, and most recently he's been working 3 years for Tieto, and before then he was with Visma for over 20 years. So he's been involved in both building up a business as well as defining and taking new products, software products, to the market. We have also initiated the search for a software system architect who will also be the development manager, so to say, for this company. And we target to hire that person in Q2. So the long-term goal here is, as I said, to develop a complementary business to the products that we have today. We will start with the customers and the market segments where we are active today, and really enhance the value to the customers and differentiate our offerings from our competitors by adding software and software solutions around this. And over time, to build up that expertise and a solid software development team within JLT. So that's going to be very exciting to follow this year. We go to the next slide, please. So key takeaways.
Per, you have 30 seconds. Unfortunately, we are running a bit out of time, so just 30 seconds in the summary, and then we'll have to.
Thank you. I'm just going to quickly summarize the presentation here then. So if you click, so 2020 was a challenging year, characterized by the corona pandemic, but I think we managed well throughout the crisis. We put preventative measures in place, staff is safe and healthy, and we ended the year with a positive operating profit, even though sales went down from the previous record year. And now we are looking forward, and we start 2021 by accelerating, and we are really executing on the growth strategy to add value to customers and to add the service content into our offering. Okay, Simon, sorry for taking a little bit longer than expected.
No worries, Per. Thank you for attending today. Unfortunately, we do not have time for any Q&A session, but I'm sure that Per is available for those of you who would like to ask him questions. So thank you, Per, for attending today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.